Today, we're going to dive into what is, without a doubt, one of the most important scientific papers of our lifetime. We're talking about the document that laid out the clinical trial for the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, the paper that truly changed the course of the global pandemic.
It all started with this. It began as a health crisis, sure, but it very quickly spiraled into a global event that touched every single part of our lives. The world was, to put it mildly, desperate for a solution.
And you know, this is exactly how the researchers themselves framed the problem in the paper's opening lines. This wasn't some small-scale issue. It was a crisis of a magnitude that very few people had ever seen before. The urgency to find a vaccine that was both safe and effective was just immense.
So this global crisis really set the stage for one of the most rapid, large-scale scientific missions in all of human history. The goal couldn't have been clearer. We had to find a way to stop this virus.
And interestingly, the leading candidate to get the job done wasn't a traditional vaccine. Nope, it was something brand new, based on a technology called messenger RNA, or mRNA for short. And the specific candidate we're talking about here was named BNT162b2.
Okay, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but what's really cool is how this technology actually works. Just think of it like this. The mRNA is basically a set of instructions, like a blueprint, that tells your body how to build a tiny, harmless piece of the virus's spike protein. And that blueprint gets delivered inside a protective little bubble of fat, which is the lipid nanoparticle. So your body sees this spike protein, learns to recognize it, and then builds up an immune defense, all without ever having to face the actual virus. Pretty incredible, right?
So you've got this really promising new tech, but now comes the hard part. How in the world do you prove it's both safe and effective for everyone? You have to design the ultimate test, a clinical trial so huge and so rigorous that the results are just undeniable.
And when I say huge, I mean it. The scale of this test was absolutely massive. Over 43,000 people volunteered and were randomized into this trial. This was no small study. It was a global effort that spanned 152 different sites all over the world. And this right here is so important. For the results to actually mean something, the people in the trial had to reflect the real world. So, the study included a really diverse mix of people, different ages, races, ethnicities, and even people with underlying health conditions, like obesity, which we knew was a major risk factor for severe COVID.
The trial itself was designed using what's called the gold standard of medical research. People were randomly assigned to get either the vaccine or a placebo, which is basically a harmless saltwater shot, just to have something to compare against. And it was observer-blinded, which is key. It means neither the participants nor the doctors giving the shots knew who got the real vaccine and who got the placebo. This is super important because it prevents any kind of bias and makes sure the results are based purely on the data.
Okay, so after this massive, incredibly designed global test was all said and done, what was the verdict?
This was it. The question the entire world was waiting for. Did this brand new mRNA vaccine actually stop people from getting sick with COVID-19?
The main goal was to see if the vaccine could prevent symptomatic COVID-19. And the way they figured that out was actually pretty simple. You just wait, and then you count. You count how many people got sick in the vaccine group, and you compare that to how many got sick in the placebo group.
So in the group that got the 2 doses of the actual vaccine, out of more than 18,000 people, there were just 8 cases of COVID-19. And in the placebo group, during that same time, there were 162 cases. The difference was just staggering. So when you do the math on that, 8 cases versus 162, you get this number, 95%. The vaccine was 95% effective at preventing COVID-19. I mean, that is an incredible result that blew past what almost anyone was hoping for.
Look, showing the vaccine worked was huge, but proving it was safe was just as critical. The trial meticulously tracked every single side effect, every single report, no matter how small.
Let's take a common side effect, like fatigue. You can see from the data it was definitely more common in the vaccine group, especially after that second dose. But what's also really fascinating is that almost a quarter of the people in the placebo group also reported feeling tired. This tells us that, yeah, the vaccine did cause some temporary side effects, but it was a clear sign that the immune system was waking up and getting to work.
And this slide really sums up the whole safety picture perfectly. The most common things people felt were pretty much what you'd expect. A sore arm, feeling tired, maybe a headache, and these things were usually mild and went away in a day or two. But the most crucial part? The rate of serious adverse events was incredibly low. and it was almost identical between the vaccine group and the placebo group.
So, what's the big picture here? What does all this really mean? Well, this trial was about so much more than just one vaccine for one pandemic. It was a true landmark moment for science.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It is astounding. Development started the day the virus's genetic code was made public. Just 6 months later, this massive trial began, and less than 11 months from a complete standstill, the results were published. That kind of speed, without cutting a single corner on safety protocols, was completely unheard of. This is the revolutionary promise of mRNA, a platform that you can design and test at pandemic speed.
And the researchers, they knew how big this was. In their conclusion, they wrote that this success showed that RNA-based vaccines aren't just a one-time thing, but a major new tool in our public health toolkit, a platform that could be adapted super quickly for whatever threat comes next.
And that really is the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? This one trial, all documented in this one paper, didn't just give the world a tool to fight COVID-19. It proved the incredible power and potential of a whole new scientific platform. And it leaves us asking this really exciting question: what other massive challenges could this technology help us solve in the future?